Greetings, football fans.
This is the ESPN LA USC Trojan Media Network.
Presented by Pechanga Resort Casino.
Are you ready for football?
And here we go. It is Trojans Live on this Monday, the 16th of March, 2026.
Mayava back in, winds and throws. Jacoby Lane again. That's his second touchdown catch. Catches it at the goal line, steps in.
We get ready tonight on Trojans Live. Yes, we're going to talk spring football.
And that's a big how do you do.
But we're also going to talk USC baseball. How about USC track and field and men's swimming? It's all ahead, and the tournament as the brackets are released for women's basketball. Let's do it. Trojans Live for this Monday right now. The exclusive USC Trojans Coaches Show. Behind-the-scenes insights and breaking news from the student athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold. Trojans Live is presented by Monster Energy. Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
Unleash the beast.
Now live from Los Angeles, inside Heritage Hall, here is your host, Jordan Moore.
Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy on ESPN LA 710 across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore, happy to be back with Sean Cody, our All-American, our award winner, Keely Yor, our insider, and our pitching coach for USC Baseball, Sean Allen, joins us at the top of the show. USC's coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. Boy, Coach Allen, you know what you're doing so far, man. We're through 20 games. You guys are 19-1, but the stat is a team ERA of 1.69. For people who need some context out there, that's number one in the nation. Number two is at 2.42. So we're almost a run better than any other staff in the country. What's going on? How you doing it?
I mean, they're doing it just really running out there, shoving in the strike zone, and it starts with Edwards on Friday night. He's obviously got a real weapon in the breaking ball, and just the cool thing is it's been just internal competition. You know, those three starters have been great, but the bullpen too. Like, I don't think a lot of people have talked about the bullpen that much, and Sachs and Troy and really some other guys as well, but just really just they want to be better than the guy that's out there before, and I think that's where it kind of stems from, but just guys going out there and competing within themselves and pitching with freedom. I think that's the one thing that in college athletics, like, it's tough to get guys that, you know, draft year, that's Mason's draft year, Scoville's draft year, Sachs, Troy, all those guys. Like, it's a huge year for these guys to do the things that they, you know, want to do from a little bitty kid, I would imagine, grow up and play pro baseball. So just to get those guys to free up and go enjoy it, you know, while they can, while they're here, and pitch with freedom. I haven't really seen any tentativeness on the mound, and it's been fun to watch. It's really, really been awesome to see those guys go out there and perform the way that they're doing it.
Coach, I've been listening to your guys do some media stuff, and a big word that comes up a lot seems is competition and the way they're competing out there. What's been that the driving force behind that mentality this year?
Yeah, I just think it starts with Coach Stankiewicz. I mean, you know, if you're a kid that gets lost into the, you know, mechanical side of things and all that, that's not a real good player. I don't care if you're a position player or pitcher, whatever you're doing in any sport, you know, just really just, again, freeing up, going to compete. It's a kid's game. Just go play it. It's not that easy. It's a lot easier for me to sit over here and say that than allow them actually go do it. But it starts at the top. You know, Coach is crazy competitive. But at the same time, he's not high strung, just, you know, a bunch of anxieties. He's a relaxed coach. We want to go compete. And, again, just go play with freedom. And our guys have done that from day one.
You're fresh off the road from a road trip, a crazy one too. It ended up being a double header. Can you take us through the mindset of the team? Because it was just such highs and lows in the sense that you tie the program record for consecutive wins at 19, and then you go into what could be the record-breaking one. But it's a double header, second game. It starts snowing, and you bring out your closer again? Just what was the mindset of the team, and how do you regroup after that?
The cool thing with this group is I think they truly just go try to play the next game and the next pitch. Not going to lie, I think the streak was definitely on their minds. You could feel it after every game, like, let's go get 13, let's go get 14, all those things. And that's what streaks are about, just try to stay hot. And the cool thing is we've played clean baseball. You know, for the most part, I think probably any sport in college athletics, but more games are lost than they're actually won. And we've gone out there and won a bunch of games. Teams haven't given us a bunch, but we're not giving anything away. Teams have had to earn things, and I think the mindset, doubleheaders are really interesting. I don't care if they don't play them in Major League Baseball very often for the reason of why. It's a doubleheader. It's a lot. You got to cover a lot of innings. No disrespect to Northwestern, but in any team you play, it levels the playing field. You could be a pro team playing a college team. It's going to level the playing field no matter who you are. So I think they enjoyed going out there and trying to prove that, Southern California people, guys from California, they can't play in the cold. And they took it personally. Coach did a great job of preparing them, understanding hey, they got to play in it. We got to play in it. Doesn't matter. On Friday night, the wind was literally blowing 40 miles an hour straight out. We had the right guy on the mound, the guy that doesn't allow a lot of baseballs to be even put into play. In our offense, honestly, every home run that we hit, we're able to have TrackMan in the dugout, and every one was over 102 miles an hour. So they're all home runs, wind or not. And then the exact opposite day happened the day after. So it's really interesting. There wasn't going to be a whole lot of hits on the day, and there wasn't. The wind's blowing straight in your face. It's 30 degrees. I think at one time we looked up, there's a Big Ten rule that the real fill has to be 28 or above to actually start the game. We were right there on the bubble with it, and you look up, and I think, halfway through that doubleheader, it was miserable, and our guys enjoyed it. Andrew Johnson out there just shoving in the strike zone, getting guys off the field. It didn't go our way that day, but again, we didn't give the game away. So that allows us to get to just good, clean baseball moving forward as well. But it was disappointing not to get, the 20, but that's college baseball, and our guys have done an awesome job responding day after day.
You're listening to USC Baseball pitching coach Sean Allen on Trojans Live. And listen, you mentioned it earlier. We're now in an era where you have access to more data than ever. And you mentioned that you have it in the dugout, but as a pitching coach, there are people with your job at the highest levels that didn't even play the game, that just think about it analytically and are processing that data for professional pitchers, and that's the way they go about the job. You did play the game, and you clearly have some balance to that. What is the balance between giving these guys the data to process and make them better, but also the feel of being an athlete and working with these kids on a day in, day out basis?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a balance. You got to figure out the guys that need the information. The thing, as I keep getting older and older, these guys have only grown up in a facility, pitching with TrackMan, pitching with Rapsodo, with all the data, and so I think a lot of guys show up, and that's we throw bullpens and they're constantly turning and looking at the iPad and all that stuff. And I'm like, all right, stop. We're going to be done. And a lot of times me and Josh Goose and Brown, who came in this year, has done an awesome job. We think a lot alike. It's way more strikes, competitiveness, mindset, mentality before we even get to this other stuff. Now you got to feed some of those kids some of that information because that's the way their brain works. The good thing is I've got a core group that they do care about it, but they're not pitching to it. And I think that's the fine line. Are we going out there and pitching to the TrackMan, or are we actually going out there and competing and figuring out how to get guys out? And there's still a old school mentality of all right, just go figure out, all right, we have C stuff today, we have D stuff today, but if we have A mentality, we're going to give our team a chance to go win. And I think, Drew Johnson's a really good example of that, because Drew's a kid that certain days it's 86 to 90, just okay stuff, but he goes out there and gets guys out because he competes. He can move the ball around the strike zone, can change speeds. And there's days like he was on Saturday in the doubleheader. He's 90-93 with a plus slider and a plus changeup, and he can overwhelm guys with stuff. So just the fine line of giving them enough data, but also allowing them to understand what does it take to win games, and that stuff doesn't matter. In the course of competition, we've got to go execute pitches. We've got to make teams earn base runners. We've got to make teams earn stolen bases and just make them earn runs. And if you can make college hitters earn everything they get, it makes it tough to score. And so far, again, guys have done that. I think the analytics piece is more geared summertime into fall, and then you can kind of, develop a plan. And I think, this summer with Mason Edwards, he spent a lot of times with the TrackMan getting breaking ball better, and it went from like 1,900 to 2,000 spin to 25, 26, and now it's one of the best pitches in college baseball. So there's a time and place for it where you can just concentrate on it. Spring's definitely not that time.
Coach, I always think an interesting piece of pitching is, or we're talking about, execution or the analytics side of it, but the emotions of a pitcher. Is that something you coach on an individual basis? Like, do you this guy needs maybe to crank it up a little bit, or I want this guy to calm down? Is that you want kind of all the guys at a baseline? Where do you stand when it comes to like coaching the emotions of a pitcher?
Yeah, I think it's definitely individually based. Mason is really kind of, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky because he absolutely competes his tail off and all that. But, like, in the dugout, he's way more relaxed than any guy I've ever had. He'll talk to guys. He's
not in the zone, just sitting there.
Yeah, he's not just stoic, just like leave me alone. He's definitely not that. Govel's different, and Drew's different than him. But just really trying to figure out who they are and where do they get to their best mindset, and Sax Matson's a great example. He's one of the funnier kids I've ever been around, just happy-go-lucky, always smiling, and this dude turns into a maniac when he crosses the line, and so he's learned that. He's figured out that's where he's best. Last year I tried to calm him down and
let that horse run, man.
Yeah, and it was we found a happy medium to where he's not just like blanking out, just throwing stuff, to where he's got super competitive juices. He's competing, but he's actually pitching now, and his development to me is right along with, all the starters that have gone out there and done stuff. But his development's, right up there with Mason and the breaking ball and the stuff he's been able to do. But he's also figured out from a mental standpoint, I call it, a gorilla in a cage fight. He's just swinging, right? And there's not that. It's more of a, yeah, we're in a fight, but he's a little more a tactician fighter, and he's understanding, like, okay, I can land this pitch. I don't just throw it as hard as I possibly can, hoping for the best. So it's been cool to see guys developmentally.
As you mentioned, it's a draft year for both Edwards and Govell. You guys have been on the road the last few years. Of course, you have a home field now, but what did it mean to you that they stayed and trusted the process and wanted to be developed by you guys? Yeah,
Coach Stankiewicz and I literally just got done talking about those two guys, and, like, Mason Edwards had a 9 ERA, I believe, as a freshman.
Wow.
Govell had a 7.5 last year. So, I wasn't with Mason as a freshman. I asked Coach last year, like, we're talking about Govell, and after his year, and it's like they just kind of saw flashes, and you could see it coming. Coming in college baseball, especially nowadays, as old as rosters are, pitching as a freshman, you're going to have your lumps, but you just buy into the kid, and their mentality and their competitiveness. And then, okay, do they have the stuff, the ability? Do we feel like, it's a guy that we want to work with day in and day out? And, Mason, Grant, they both, they stuck with us and we stuck with them. It's a two-sided street. And I think that just knowing who they are from a work standpoint is the biggest thing. Like, are they willing to put in the work? Are they the right type of kid, number one? Number two, they work. Do we like their mentality when they go compete? And, so far it's paid off for those kids. And for us, we're obviously more than thrilled to have those guys and to be able to work with them daily.
Busy stretch here. 6 games in the next 8 days by my count that allow you to take a look at some other guys?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course it's going to happen. I mean, last week, we got Ace Whitehead back who, honestly, he's a weekend rotation guy if he's healthy. So it was really awesome to see him. It was sitting back, watching him pitch those 2 innings. You're like, okay, this is – Coach Lee looked at me, he's like, that's what we asked for. It's just highly competitive. It's 86, 87, but it's like in your face. He's 5'9", but he's on the mound standing like he's 6'4" and ready to get after you. So that was fun to see. The good thing is the starters have been so good, and the 3 main bullpen guys have been so good with Lordson, Troy, and Sachs, that we've been able to put some other guys in the right spots. They haven't been exposed so far, and I think we're developing some guys that when it does happen, we need them. I think they're going to be in a good mindset to be able to go out there and help us because the stuff's there with 8 to 10, 12 of them. It's just, can we get them mentally in the right frame of mind to not be overwhelmed with emotions and the spots that they're going to be in. So I'm excited to see that for sure.
Great opportunity for the fans, too. All those games I mentioned are at Dados. So 6 games in the next 8 days to come out and see this tremendous baseball team, record-setting already, top 15 in the country. This pitching staff is absolutely electric with Coach Allen behind the scenes on it. Ready to take it to the next level, unleash the beast this college tailgate season with Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, a proud partner of USC Football. All right, we've got a champion in the house. Garrett Kaalund is next, fresh off his 200-meter indoor national championship. Coming up on Trojans Live. Our Best of the Game is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises. We've got a champion in the house, Garrett Kaalund, 200-meter indoor champion. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Keely Orr. Garrett, welcome to Trojans Live, man. You shattered the collegiate record at the NCAA indoors. How'd you do it? What all came together?
So biggest thing was kind of getting that start right and being smooth going up and down the bank. I know during the prelims, I had tripped up multiple times. I felt as if I was about to fall off the track. And I went back to my coach and said, all right, what can we do to make that better? And he said, you need to hammer those legs down. You need to just work those arms and just make sure that you stay in the middle of the lane. And so in the finals, got a little bit of a better lane than I did in the prelims. And it kind of just came all together along with a great start.
What's it like when that kind of all comes together and you have that moment? You're on the podium there, and you're hey, I'm the champion of this event. All the work that went into it. What's that like?
So it was like, dang, I really just did that. Yep. It's like at first it's kind of shocking because at the moment you don't even realize what just happened, and then as time passes, it kind of just slowly just works its way into your mind. Of like, okay, I had a great start. I actually just went up that bank beautifully. And
so you kind of feel it as the race is going along. Are you checking off boxes, kind of, right?
Yeah, that's almost how it is.
But you're still surprised when you see the clock? You didn't know when you crossed the line that clock was going to look real good?
So, actually, for the entirety of the time that we was at that meet, I was like, I don't think it's possible to go under 20. And I know I saw the heat before me. He went 20.1. And at that moment, I said, I got to go 19. I have to. And I've developed like a small habit of like sometimes peeking at the clock right before I finish the line, and I took a look at it. I said, "Oh, that gotta be 19. That gotta be 19." And I looked up at the board. It said like 1995. I said, "Oh yeah, we did it. We did it."
You're the first college athlete to ever record that time. I don't know if you could hear it in the moment, but the crowd had like a gasp. There was like a reaction to your run. Could you hear that at the time?
So that was the first time I've actually heard like any reaction after I finished running. Usually I just don't hear anything. I just kind of in my own thoughts.
Yeah.
I heard it. It was super loud. I was like, okay, yeah, that had to be good.
You sort of explained some of the challenges, but, you know, the people that are watching and listening mostly watch outdoor track. You know, they watch the Olympics, and so that's what they picture when they think of track and field. What are the challenges or the differences when you run indoors?
So the biggest thing is you're at a smaller track. Outdoors like 400 meters, indoor is 200 meters, and then it's also banked. So for races like the 400 and 200, you're going to be going up a bank. It's going to feel a lot harder to kind of be able to navigate those curves. And even with the 200 specifically, you start on the bank. So like on your marks like position, it feels as if like your entire weight is on one arm. It feels off. And a lot of times before this year, I used to like trip as I came out the blocks, and it's just super hard and just difficult to kind of get comfortable with. And I know in California, we practice with outdoor tracks a lot, and at my previous university, we kind of practice it with indoor because it's colder. And that's kind of like one of the biggest things is trying to get familiar with that indoor track. And so being at that college and having a lot of practices on that indoor track kind of made it easier for me to kind of get myself ready for now higher performances on an indoor track.
Take us through your journey a little bit. Was it always just track, other sports, different events? What was your journey to get to this moment here?
So initially, I did basketball, but I didn't really like it.
Okay.
And so
well, how old was basketball? What age was that?
I think that was when I was 6 years old.
Okay, early basketball start.
Yeah. And so I was talking with my mom, and she was like, "All right, Garrett, you got too much energy. We gotta put you in something."
Yeah.
And so she put me in track. And for most of my life, I've done track. And I used to do the 400. and the 200. And then I got into high school. During my junior year, I ran like a very fast time in the 400. And at that time, I wasn't liking the 400 anymore. I was like, this hurts too much.
Yeah.
It's too long.
Painful.
Man. And so senior year, I then ran the 200, and I ran, I would think, a better time in comparison to my 400 time. And I said, all right, it's time to get out that 400. And my first university that I went to was University of Nebraska. And my coach, he recruited me specifically for the 400. I had to slowly, convince him, slowly turn him towards that 200 and say, we don't need that 400 no more. We can let that go.
What I find so interesting about your specific event is, like, for other athletes, if they're not, on right away, you can kind of find your rhythm in a game or in a meet. For you, you have to be on your A game from the moment you start to the moment you finish. How do you mentally make sure you're prepared for that moment?
So for me, I get nervous a lot, and you usually see me pacing back and forth. And so the biggest thing is I'll just allow myself to be nervous, but the moment the starter says set, it needs to come to a halt. If I feel anything that's making me doubt anything I'm going to do, it's not going to be a good race. And so I've learned to shut everything off the moment they say set, and once the gun goes off, that's when the mind is clear, and I'm focused on certain points in which I need to hit in order to produce a good time.
I always think it's racing is funny to me because it's like car racing, except you guys are also the car, so much of it is taking care of your body, like a car racer would take care of the car, right? And so go back even further in the preparation. You're talking about the nerves right before the race. What's the morning like? What's the night before like? How are you preparing your body physically to perform at peak level for 20 seconds?
So the biggest thing is we got to take a look at our athletic trainers. They're like the maintenance workers, and so
the pit crew.
Most certainly. And so I'm always talking with him. I let him know anything that I'm feeling. Same thing with my coach. I let him know anything that I'm feeling. And usually we don't really have team dinners, but when we do, I try and order something that, I specifically am good with eating for, before race day or on race day. And lastly, at night, make sure to get those 8 hours in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of slip up and get 7 hours. I'm like, no, we can't do that. We need 8 hours now.
Record-setting event. What's next on the plate after you get to the top right there? What's the next achievement?
It's to keep getting faster. So indoor, I've succeeded in getting a collegiate record, and so now for outdoor, I'm trying to aim for that outdoor collegiate record as well, but also a few other things. So my biggest goal for outdoor is to get a gold medal in the 100, 4x1, 200, and 4x4, and that hasn't been done. I think I can't even remember how long it hasn't been done, but only 2 people have done this so far, so I'm trying to be the third.
At the bar.
It starts right away. Next week is outdoor season, the beginning for USC track and field, the defending national champions on the men's side. It starts with the Trojan Invitational out at our own Allison Felix Field, and then Garrett and company will go on and gear up all the way towards NCAAs. So good luck the rest of the way. Congratulations on your title already.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Trojan fans, did you know the Ralph's app gives you easy access to weekly sales and personalized coupons? And you can earn a few points, too. Check out the app today and save while you cheer us on to another great season. Ralph's, proud partner of USC Athletics. And Monster Energy, it's the official energy drink partner of USC. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. All right, we're going from the track to the pool. The Great Dane, Oliver Sogaard-Andersen, is next on Trojans Live. Fight on, Trojans, and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to start planning your next vacation today. And don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Keely Orr, and we are joined for the first time by Oliver Sogaard-Andersen, all Big Ten swimmer, headed to NCAAs here soon. But you come to us from Denmark, from Copenhagen. You're a sophomore now, but how did we get you? Why USC?
I mean, the decision to go to the States was, first of all, kind of a rush for me. I never knew that I wanted to go to the States, so when I decided to do it, I talked to a lot of coaches all over the U.S., and it was just finding the right spirit, finding the coaches that I that I felt like could progress me in swimming. And I mean, the coaching staff here at USC, I just felt something with them. They were so kind to me, and I felt like I could have a future here. So I decided on going to LA, and I mean, it's a beautiful city to be in, so I love it here.
Yeah, quite a difference, right? You got to be some culture shock going on. What's it like to be in LA?
Definitely. I mean, I've never been in the U.S. before I came to college.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, when I came to the U.S., it was a big culture shock. Everything is much bigger over here. I mean, Denmark is a tiny country. But, I mean, the weather, the culture, there's so much to explore over here, so many things to do, and I absolutely love it.
Did you visit, or was it all over Zoom?
It was all over Zoom.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
this period that I had to decide which college I went to, it was all over Zoom. I never went to, any official visits, so yeah.
That's crazy. Now, if I'm correct from reading your bio, you're majoring in intelligence and cyber operations, which I didn't even know that USC offered. Can you tell us about that major and why you chose it?
So I was first undecided my first year because, as I said, it was a quick period having to just get over to the States. So I simply just went through the whole list of all the majors we have here at USC. And I am a bit of an IT freak. I love doing IT stuff, and mixing that with international relations was awesome. So this field kind of mixes that with IT security.
Cool.
So I love it, yeah.
Is swimming a big sport in Denmark? How did you get into it?
It's the third biggest sport in Denmark.
Sean, what are the first two?
I'm drawing a blank right now, Jordan.
I have no idea. It's just a
skating.
guessing game. I'm going to guess soccer.
Soccer is the biggest one, yes.
Okay. What's the second one? Anyone got a guess?
I said speed skating, but that's a total guess.
Gymnastics.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I would not have
Not guessed that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I started as a young kid swimming. My family always wanted me to do some kind of sport because I also always had so much energy.
That's what Garrett said. I think
Exactly.
that's
It's a theme of the
Exactly.
show.
Gotta
That's how
find
we
a place.
find good athletes.
So I tried a few things. I tried handball, very popular sport also in Denmark.
Awesome sport.
I just never fell in love with it, to be honest. And swimming, I mean, I actually cried the first time I had to do a swim lesson. Kind of
you
funny.
didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it, but I mean, when I started, I kind of fell in love with it, and I progressed very quickly, and now I'm here. So.
Yeah, freestyle is your event, right? Correct.
It is,
So,
yeah.
how did you get into that stroke specifically, or how does that work out? Where you pick one and you stick with it?
It's a long journey. When you're a young swimmer, you start out by doing all the strokes, experimenting with everything, and I have not been a freestyle swimmer all my life. I was actually a butterfly swimmer. I hold a Danish.
That's a difficult one. I never could
It
really
is a
get into
weird
that
one,
one. I had
yeah.
the breast and the freestyle. The butterfly I was like drowning when I was out there.
Exactly. It's a weird one. I hold a Danish junior record in the 200 butterfly, so I was a good butterfly back then. I kind of stalled in that event, and I tried out freestyle, and it turned out to be great, and now I'm a freestyler. So, yeah.
You also are in relays. What mindset do you have to have when you're part of a team in that sense?
I mean, you're always in some sort of way a part of the team, even though in individual races, but you're
Sure.
scoring for the points. Relays are so fun. When you're together with three others, you're really putting it out there for them, having to do your best. And I always see like a small improvement somehow in the relays because it just means more in some way.
When you think of the greatest swimmers, maybe some that you've talked to or just some that you grew up watching, what makes them truly great? Is it simply their physical attributes are better than most of the people they compete against, or is it their mentality and their training and all that?
I mean, we say it's 80% mentality, 20% physics. It's all about what you do in behind the stage, the practices, showing up, even the early mornings, having to wake up at 5 a.m. No one wants to do that, but you have to do it if you want to keep up with the best in the world. And it's so amazing to, as a young kid, I always went to the biggest meets in Denmark and just watching from the sideline. And it was just, I knew what they did behind the stage. I knew like all the hours. It's 25 hours a week we work, like athletics, like weight training, everything. And it was such an inspiration watching them doing that. So I thought I wanted to do the same.
How about food? I got to get you a food question here. Talk about the cuisine you miss the most about back home, and then is there anywhere locally you can kind of get a little taste of Denmark here in town?
I mean, LA is so diverse. You can get everything here you want to. I mean, back home it's just mom's food. You're missing.
What dish? Is there a specific dish that you love?
We had like It's called, the Danish is coming out now, stegt flæsk med persillesauce.
Of course.
It's like,
You knew that.
it's a pork dish with potatoes, Danish potatoes. Really simple, but it's like the Danish national dish.
Okay.
And I love it. When I come back, I'm definitely going to have some of that too.
There you go. You're thinking about it. I know you
Keely,
are.
the greatest restaurant in the world is in Copenhagen. The chef's in a little bit of trouble right now. I don't know if you know this.
I do
Breaking
not,
news.
Jordan.
So let's not get into that. But they're doing a pop-up in L.A., and tickets are going for like thousands of dollars to go to this restaurant.
He's our foodie of the show. He loves
Sean
food.
is. I mean, Sean
Yes.
literally owns a restaurant. But have you been to Noma?
I have not been to Noma.
Like people
Yeah.
plan their lives around going to this restaurant, Keely.
Not me.
I don't know what their gluten-free menu looks like. But
Fair. Yeah, that's pretty
I'm
boring.
sure we could find you something.
You mentioned homesick and mom's cooking. How do you just manage being so far away from home?
It's definitely far away, and never having been away from home and then going to the opposite side of the world, it's a big jump. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm too homesick. I'm having a pretty comfortable time over here. I call my parents bi-monthly, just keeping track of what's going on over there also. I mean, I love it so much here. It's like a family away from home also, so it never really feels wrong in any way. And then I get to see them this summer also, and they're coming over to LA to visit me, so we always keep contact.
Copenhagen, beautiful city, definitely on my bucket list to get to. But we're happy we got you here in Los Angeles. Good luck the rest of the way in NCAAs coming up. That's next week in Atlanta. So have a great time there, and good luck the rest of the way. We've got our Football Roundtable, a couple segments coming up here, so stay tuned on Trojans Live. Want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans? Be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches presented by Spartan Final. It's a free newsletter. It'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches. And sign up. And Stone IPA has inspired a generation of brewers and beer lovers. Made in Southern California, Stone Brewing's first anniversary ale continues to be today's iconic West Coast style IPA. Crisp, light-bodied, and packed with hoppy flavor. Located at find.stonebrewing.com. Jordan Moore, Sean, Cody Keeley, or JJ couldn't make it, unfortunately, for our Football Roundtable. But, guys, I wanted to break down the schedule a little bit. I think it's a major story, and for a little bit of a different reason than people have taken going into this season. Obviously, the big story, I think, publicly was the lack of Notre Dame, and that being a major change. And I think the sense of that is like, oh, well, that makes it a lot easier. And sure, losing Notre Dame does make it easier. This is a really difficult schedule. And it's not so much that the importance of the difficulty for me is the 1 through 12. The difficulty is in the playoff era, no team has ever lost 3 regular season games and made the playoff. Now, last year, Alabama lost 3 games, but one of them was the SEC title game. Texas lost 3 games. They were 13th last year. So that's the context going in, is you feel like trying to make the playoff, and it's going to take 2 losses or fewer to do that. And so when I tiered this out, guys, tier 1, to me, are playoff games, sort of the in-season playoff games. And what USC has is Indiana, which finished number 1, defending national champions. Trojans will take them on in Bloomington on November 14th. Ohio State, number 2 last year in the college football playoff. Oregon, number 5 last year. Trojans need to win at least one of those games. And so you could forget the other 9, and we're going to get to the other 9. There's some really tricky games in the other 9. But right there, the playoff is going to start in the middle of the season for this team.
Yeah, those 3 games are huge, obviously, and then you got to look at where they're located, right? You got to go to Indiana, then you got 2 games, then you get Oregon and Ohio State at home. So that's a better fare for the Trojans. But yeah, you got to find a way. I mean, you go into every game, you want to win every game. So that's,
no doubt.
I mean, as a football player,
Trying to go 12-0.
Yeah, you're trying to win them all. But yeah, as an outsider looking in, it's going to be to find a win right there. It's going to be a tall task for these Trojans, especially with a lot of moving a new team to get going, and there's a lot of things going into it. But yeah, you got to find at least one of those wins to get to that playoff, hopefully.
As Sean mentioned, 2 out of the 3 that you just said are at home, and statistically, Jaden Mayava has played better at home than on the road, so you at least have that you're working with. And I just feel like obviously there's home court advantage. When you're at home, you just have that ability to rile up the fans behind you, get that momentum. So I feel better if you were going to say all 3 of those are away, then that's some tough sledding. But it feels pretty good for USC if 2 out of the 3 are home.
And last year, the Michigan game was epic, right? The Coliseum showed up. You could see the the notch of play from the team turned up. It was
said
visible.
it too.
It was visible to see the amount of fans affected that game.
Yeah, and obviously the teams change, right? I say number one, Indiana, we're not playing against Fernando Mendoza. They're going to lose people, and these teams may not be preseason 1, 2, and 5. Actually, I think if anything, Oregon might be the top of the preseason heap of those three. But you have those games, and it's almost like the whole goal of this season is sort of to prove you're a playoff team, and to do it, you're going to have to be playoff teams to do it, and that's just not true around the country. There are a lot of teams that just sort of schedule their way into the playoff a little bit, then they find out how good they are once they get to the playoff. That's not going to be the case for USC. We're going to know if they make the playoff that they've earned it.
Yeah, they deserved it. If they get through the schedule and get there, then they'll be battle-tested, and that's the kind of team you want going into the playoff.
The second tier I have is tricky road trips. And, Sean, you feel free to push back if you don't like my tiers. But, at Penn State, at Wisconsin, and at UCLA. And what's interesting about this trio to me, obviously one of them's not even really a road trip. You're just going to the Rose Bowl across town. But none of the three really had particularly good seasons last year. Wisconsin ended up bringing back its coach, but Penn State made a coaching change, and UCLA made a coaching change. But at Penn State and at Wisconsin, and then a rivalry game at UCLA, these are not games that you chalk up as wins going into a season either. I mean, we could be the whiteout game at Penn State and Happy Valley and walk into that
Very
and not
likely,
going,
yes.
We're going to win this by 30. I mean, these are tough.
Yeah.
Not to mention the defensive coordinator was with this program for 2 years.
Major storyline going into that game.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, with a new coach at helm, with Matt Campbell running the show there at Penn State, and with Coach Lynn as well. So that'll be a tough one. And then Wisconsin, I think they got better. I think, as I recall, as a
little bit better as the year goes on. Great home crowd. They got the big thing that they do going into the fourth quarter. I mean, it's And Bob Chesney's got people all fired up.
Keely and Jordan are really fired up about the UCLA football program.
Twitter has got people going. I mean, he seems to be doing something different, in my opinion, than what I've seen from previous UCLA coaches.
Social clips can be convincing. Now, you got to win it on the field.
No doubt.
I understand
And it
that, of
takes time.
course. But the social hype has gotten me a little bit of
Always
a believer.
be wary of the spring hype reels, man.
Yes, I know.
Be wary.
The third tier I've got is take care of business, and that has at Rutgers, which you could argue is a tricky road trip. It's a full cross country road trip. Rutgers had some moments last year. They were not terrible. Sometimes that program has really struggled. Last year was not the case. They seem to be solid. Washington at our place is no pushover either. They ended up in that back and forth with their quarterback, but he's staying. He's still there. It's going to be a talented Washington team, and then Maryland at our place. So, but the pressure from Tier 1 makes you can't make mistakes in Tier 3.
Yeah, and we've seen seasons where the Trojans have had those missteps. You mentioned Maryland, and that's all I think about is that misstep against Maryland a couple years ago. So, games you need to take care of. Those are winnable games, but also you just got to lock in every week.
Well, that's the thing. I think taking the next step for this program is not playing to your opponent, but you're having the same level of intensity every week. So you're having that Michigan intensity when you're playing a Maryland or something like that. No disrespect to any of those teams, but you dictate how you play versus the opponent dictating that for you.
And then that last tier is the must-wins. USC starts the season with San Jose State, Fresno State, and Louisiana at home to start the season. Just the way it's set up, the way we talked about it, they're going to have to come out early on in the season. They use those 3 games to figure out who they are and who are the core players on this team, but they all need to certainly be wins at the end of those games. All right, you can get your tickets at usctrojans.com/tickets for that incredible schedule, and I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of it when we come back in our second segment of the Football Roundtable on Trojans Live. Thanks for hanging with us here on Trojans Live. With Keely Orr, Sean Cody, I am Jordan Moore, and we broke down the schedule a little bit in the last segment, but I wanted to ask a question for each of those tiers I created, and it's just digging in a little bit more to this team or what it's going to take to achieve what they want this year. And so when you talk about those Tier 1 games, and what we're talking about is to beat in Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, hopefully beat multiple teams from that group, which is what it's going to take to make the playoff. What needs to happen? What position group needs to get better? What element needs to change? Person, you guys can pick, choose your own adventure in terms of where you want to take it. But for this program to win those games, and we have seen some of it, what's it going to have to happen for this season?
Yeah, it's twofold for me. The first thing, obviously, is defense upgrade, right? You need that defensive upgrade, which you're hoping you're getting with Coach Patterson, Hall of Fame collegiate coach who's coming in. He knows defense. You're hoping you got to see an uptick in defense. The offense has played at that, I think, tier 1 level at times. And if you can get the offense playing at tier 1 level and the defense playing at that same level, that's how you match.
Defense as a whole, you talking about the scheme? Is there a particular area of the defense that you think needs to improve?
I would say pass rush would. I mean, I always look up front. It's got to start up front with those guys. You've got some young guys that are going to have opportunity to compete. You got some older veteran defensive ends that have been there that need to increase their production. And I would look at probably at that position first. And then anytime you're going to play against those high level teams, I think your best players have to play their best. Your number one guys, your Jada Mayavas, your Tanuk Hines, your left tackle, your star players in those games need to show up, and that's how you compete with those high level teams, by bringing that defense a step up and those guys making plays. I think.
Yeah, I'd say in the trenches both ways. Just being in the Big Ten Conference, I also think just an interesting storyline, and I think I mentioned this at some point, but when I talked to Paul Gonzalez, new safeties coach, he talked about taking care of our bodies. He said that's something, especially looking at the safeties, that maybe we need to look at their rehab, their prehab. What are they doing? And so that was a big storyline last year. Is
such a good call.
Are we going to see Kamari Ramsey? Are we going to see Bishop Fitzgerald? Like, yeah, you want that production, but are they going to be available? So I think that was interesting that he noted that. And also just, we talked to Coach Patterson last week about the stripe they have on their helmet during spring, which is all about where are their eyes, are the tackling angles, what are they, just the fundamentals in that sense, just an improvement in that.
I think they go 10-2 last season if it's a healthy team at Illinois.
Yeah.
I honestly felt like that was the game where you just look at it and it was player availability or players not feeling well. I don't know how much of it was avoidable or not, but we sort of talk about with the track star about your body being the race car, and it's certainly true of football players as well, is that if they can be healthy for the big games, that's a major part. What about those road trips? I thought we conquered that a little bit last year, and the big one was at Nebraska, because when I look at Penn State and when I look at Wisconsin and I look at UCLA, at Nebraska is sort of the comp to that.
Yeah, I mean, that game was really memorable last year. The way they were just kind of hit with a tsunami early, and you can feel the stadium. I mean, They looked overwhelmed, they looked overmatched, and then found a way to turn the tide in that game. So that was a huge step in the right direction, and those games will sort of be that kind of, I think, same kind of layout of as far as momentum games.
So interestingly enough, as I mentioned, statistically, Jade Malva plays better at home. Now he doesn't have the safety blankets of Jacoby Lane and Makai Lemon. I just switched those two. He doesn't have those two anymore, and it's a young room. The guy who has the most experience is Tanuk Hines, who wasn't even a spring enrollee last year. So who does he gain chemistry with? Who will be his go-to receivers when he's on the road? It's a loud environment. Who does he go to?
And then the last one is the taking care of business thing that we talked about, the ability to beat teams that you're expected to beat, that you're favored to beat. What does that take, Sean?
I mean, that just takes mental lock-in, right? It doesn't matter. Keely mentioned it. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You're locked in. You're focused on that objective, and it could be Ohio State, or it could be your Maryland, or your San Jose State. Whoever it is, you're locked into that game, and you have a goal in mind if you want to make those playoffs.
One final segment of Trojans Live coming up next. One final segment of Trojans Live here with Sean Cody and Keely Yore, and thanks to everyone involved, Rick, Gia, and Steve. Spring break here at USC, so a little bit quieter. Our over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, a proud partner of USC Athletics. And I want to stay with baseball since they've been such a tremendous story. And we had the pitching coach on earlier. Mark Pryor, who in my mind is the gold standard of USC pitchers. His final year at USC, 15-1. With a 1.69 ERA. He struck out 202 batters in 138 and 2/3 innings. He won the Golden Spikes Award, which is the Heisman Trophy of college baseball that year. But our two guys this year who Coach talked about, Mason Edwards, our Friday starter, Grant Govell, our Saturday starter. Edwards has a 0.30 ERA.
Which rose.
From zero.
Yes.
Govell has a 0.27 ERA. Over-under that one of those two guys gets under 1.69, which was Pryor's Golden Spikes winning season.
I'm going to use all my baseball knowledge from Little League here, and I'm going to say over.
Neither of those guys can.
That's a tall
it
order.
Sure is. It sure is.
Yeah, 1.6. That's a record that might not be taken down for a bit.
I believe. I'm going to say under.
I kind of wonder if they can do it. It's not the same league. Big Ten baseball is not what Pac-10 baseball was at that time. The UCLA game will be really difficult. They have some of the best players in the country. I think they're number one right now. Other than that start, these guys just dominate.
Also, by the way, that 3 that was added to his ERA for Mason, that was like a wind-assisted home run against Northwestern. So I'm gonna, in my mind, it's a 0 ERA.
But one bad start ruins it, though. That's what's crazy.
What about Randy Johnson? Where was he at?
I don't know. I don't know how far back we can look up college baseball stats.
No stats before then?
I would love to know. I mean, we've had some great ones. Barry Zito and Seth Etherton and some other incredible pitchers, Ian Kennedy here. But 169 would be pretty impressive. But these two guys, honestly, it seems feasible. Whether or not it'll happen, the way that they're pitching is phenomenal. So make sure you get out to Dato Field to see them. That's it for us. We'll be back next week, and football will be back with us. Until then, fight on, everyone.